You're not alone if you've ever felt the weight of greatness pressing down on your chest like a leaden cloak. But here's the truth most won't admit. Leadership isn't just about vision or strategy. It's about sacrifice. It's about standing at the edge of the abyss, staring into the void, and choosing to step forward anyway. Why? Because greatness demands it. Think about it. Every hero has their scars. Every legend carries burdens no one else can see. And every leader knows what it feels like to walk through fire while everyone else watches from the sidelines. So, why do we glorify success but shy away from talking about the cost? Today, we're diving deep into the loneliness of leadership, the raw, unfiltered reality behind the masks we wear when the world expects us to be invincible. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you saw a leader cry in public, or heard them admit they didn't have all the answers? Society loves its superheroes, those larger-than-life figures who seem untouchable, unstoppable. But here's the dirty little secret. They're human, just like you, just like me. I remember sitting across from a CEO once, a man whose name graced billboards and magazine covers. On paper, he had everything: wealth, influence, adoration. But as he leaned back in his chair, his eyes told a different story. "No one understands," he said softly. "Not my team, not my family. Sometimes I don't even understand myself." That moment stuck with me because it shattered the illusion. Leaders aren't born fearless. They're forged in the crucible of uncertainty. They make decisions that ripple outward, affecting lives they'll never meet. And yet, they shoulder the blame when things go wrong. Alone, always alone. So let's talk about this myth of invincibility. Where does it come from? Who benefits from it? And more importantly, how does it trap us in cycles of isolation and self-doubt? Greatness doesn't come cheap. If you want to change the game, you better be ready to pay the price. And trust me, the bill is steep. Sleepless nights, broken relationships, missed birthdays, sacrifices so profound they leave permanent marks on your soul. Take Steve Jobs, for example. Love him or hate him, there's no denying his impact on the world. But dig deeper, and you'll find a man who alienated friends, abandoned colleagues, and pushed people to their limits, all in pursuit of perfection. Was it worth it? Maybe. But at what cost? Or consider Martin Luther King Jr., whose dream inspired millions but also painted a target on his back. He knew the risks. He faced them head on, fully aware that his fight might end in tragedy. And still, he marched forward. Why? Because true leaders don't shy away from the darkness. They embrace it, knowing it's where the light begins to shine. But here's the kicker. The sacrifices don't stop once you reach the top. In fact, they often get worse. The higher you climb, the fewer allies you have. The more pressure you face, the lonelier it becomes. Because at the summit, there's only room for one. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage you. Far from it. I'm telling you this so you can prepare yourself. So you can armor up before stepping onto the battlefield. Because leadership isn't for the faint of heart. It's for those willing to bleed for their cause. Here's the thing about leadership. It's inherently rebellious. Think about it. Every great leader throughout history has challenged the status quo. They've defied norms, broken rules, and dared to imagine a better future, even when everyone around them called them crazy. But rebellion comes at a cost, not just externally, in terms of pushback or criticism, but internally. You see, becoming a leader means confronting parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. The doubts, the fears, the insecurities. These are the shadows that lurk within us all, whispering lies like, "Who are you to lead?" Or, "What makes you think you're special?" And let's be honest, those voices can be deafening, especially when you're standing alone, trying to hold the line against forces far greater than yourself. But here's the paradox. Embracing those shadows is what makes you stronger. Facing them head on is what transforms you from ordinary to extraordinary. Because leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic, about owning your flaws and using them as fuel to drive your mission forward. It's about channeling your pain into purpose, your anger into action, your fear into courage. That's the rebellion within. That's the spark that ignites greatness. Defiance gets a bad rap. People associate it with chaos, disruption, even destruction. But let me tell you something. Defiance is the heartbeat of progress. Without it, we'd still be living in caves, bowing to kings, accepting mediocrity as our fate. Look at Rosa Parks. She didn't set out to start a movement. She simply refused to give up her seat. One act of defiance, one quiet rebellion, and it changed the course of history. Or take Elon Musk. Love him or loathe him, the man refuses to accept limits. Whether it's space travel, electric cars, or brain-computer interfaces, he dares to defy convention at every turn. Does he ruffle feathers? Absolutely. Does he face ridicule? Constantly. But does he care? Not for a second. Because defiance isn't reckless, it's revolutionary. It's about saying, "This isn't good enough," and then doing something about it. It's about refusing to settle for less than you deserve, or less than the world deserves. Of course, defiance comes with risks. You'll piss people off. You'll face resistance. You'll stumble and fall. But here's the beauty of it. Every time you rise again, you become unstoppable. Every time you refuse to back down, you prove to yourself and to the world that you're capable of more than anyone thought possible. In a world obsessed with conformity, individualism is both a gift and a curse. On one hand, it sets you apart. It gives you the freedom to forge your own path, to create something uniquely yours. On the other hand, it isolates you. It makes you a target. It forces you to stand alone when everyone else is following the crowd. But here's the truth. Individualism is the essence of leadership. You can't inspire others unless you first dare to be yourself. You can't blaze new trails unless you're willing to stray from the pack. And you can't achieve greatness unless you're prepared to challenge the herd mentality. Think about it. Would Apple be Apple without Steve Jobs' relentless pursuit of innovation? Would SpaceX exist without Elon Musk's audacious vision? Would the civil rights movement have succeeded without individuals like Malcolm X and Angela Davis pushing boundaries and demanding justice? The answer is no. Because leadership isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out. It's about carving your name into the fabric of history, not by following trends, but by setting them. So, embrace your individuality, celebrate what makes you different, and remember, the world doesn't need another follower. It needs you, exactly as you are. Leadership is lonely. There's no sugarcoating it. But here's the silver lining. Loneliness breeds resilience. Isolation fuels creativity. And solitude sharpens focus. If you're watching this, chances are you've already felt the pull of greatness. You've already tasted the bittersweet allure of ambition. And now it's time to decide. Will you shrink back into comfort, or will you step boldly into the unknown? The choice is yours, but know this. The world needs leaders like you. People who refuse to settle. People who defy expectations. People who dare to dream bigger, work harder, and sacrifice more than anyone else. So what's your next move? What hill are you willing to die on? What legacy will you leave behind? Comment below and share your thoughts. Better yet, take action today. Start small. Take one step toward your vision. Because greatness isn't built overnight. It's forged day by day, decision by decision. And remember, you're not alone. Even in the darkest moments, there's a community of dreamers, rebels, and fighters cheering you on. Keep going, keep growing, and above all, keep leading.